Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Sports Show on Calon 105 FM. And yes, we've all got the Monday blues, but hey, think positive. It's nearly the end of Monday. With me is Connor Porter, Joe Stanley and Adam Davis. We've got a jam-packed show ahead. We're going to have to talk about the football. We've got a little bit about the Commonwealth Games. And after what we've had over the last week or so, it has been a great time for Australia in the world of the Commonwealth Games. That's what's all coming up on the Let's Talk Sports Show on Calon 105 FM. Monday Blues, what can I say?
Calon FM on 105 FM, uniting our community.
I mean, I've been half looking forward to today. I mean, I was all pumped up on Sunday. You know, Sunday morning, it's a great day, your day off, and then you straight away... the end of the day was just everything changes within hours, doesn't it? I mean, stuff can fall apart within moments, and then you find out that Manchester City are actually going to win the title at the end of the day. That's what happened at the end of Sunday. Manchester City won their third Premier League title thanks to West Bromwich Albion. It was inevitable, really. They were going to win it either on Sunday or later this week against Swansea, but West Brom did them a big favour, you could say, by doing the impossible, which not many expected before the game. I certainly didn't. And that was West Brom beating Manchester United. And West Brom, a team who have found it difficult just to even get a handful of wins this season, have done it at one of the biggest grounds in the country. And that's it. The Premier League title race is over. I say title race. There was no title race at all, really. Maybe at the start of the season. But then when Manchester City did that 18-game unbeaten run, winning every game, that was really the form that separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Connor Porter, West Brom.
Yeah.
It's funny because last season they lost to Chelsea and gave Chelsea the Premier League title. They win at Man United and give it to Man City. West Brom, they know how to give away these...
Mate, the title deciders.
Exactly.
The big guns in the Premier League are going away. So
2 years on the trot.
I mean, all credit to West Brom, you know, on an occasion where they're being overshadowed by the fact that, you know, City are champions after that result. You know, a great result for them. Darren Moore getting into the squad early on and setting his ways early and getting a good result for West Brom moving forward. But yeah, congratulations to City, who's in order. Fantastic achievement to achieve a title victory. Only one day longer than the record of the shortest title win.
Only 1 day?
Yeah,
I
only by
was
1
about
day.
to ask that as well.
Because I think it was the United win one season under Fergie. So yeah, good achievement for City. See how they can push on forward from there, because obviously now they've got the rest of the summer really to relax on, because they haven't got any Champions League football or anything like that. Whereas United now, they need to bounce back quickly for the FA Cup this coming weekend.
I mean, yeah. I think it was 2013 Fergie did it in his last season. Because we did win it in April, but I can't remember if that was the one, but it might be. But no, you're right. Manchester City have quite a lot to relax about now. They can just go and party, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of part of me asks for. I think they got 3 or 4 more home games between now and the end of the season, and obviously they'll lift the trophy in their last home game against Brighton, I think it is. So yeah, it'll be nice to see how Pep Guardiola really reacts to this, because of course I think it's something like 23 trophies in his first 10 seasons as a manager, which is a fantastic achievement for him, and how he can push on now, because he's got that important start now, which a lot of City fans wanted almost immediately when he came in. It took 2 seasons to get it done, but he's got it done now, and let's see how he can push forward from here, because with the likes of Bayern Munich and Barcelona, it's had a rubbed-on effect into how they performed in Europe, and they've been able to progress that way. Unfortunately, this time around, because of the loss against Liverpool in the quarters, they've only been managed to make it the quarters, but hopefully they can push on next season, and let's see who they bring in the summer to really rebound from this, because as we were discussing on the way, since United did it in, was it 2010, 2011?
2009 when we won it for the third year on the trot.
Yeah, so no one's done it back-to-back since then. So it'd be interesting to see if City is able to achieve that accomplishment next season.
Joe, of course, it was a long week for Manchester City before their great win at Spurs. And that win at Spurs kind of reminded us, you know, why they were top of the table throughout the whole season.
Yeah, obviously they had the blip, haven't they? All sides have a blip throughout the season.
Especially against your lot.
Yeah. I'll try not to go on about that too much, because otherwise I'll just ramble on. Yeah, it was fantastic. Obviously Liverpool getting the result. it was good to see City bounce back at the weekend, because obviously you want to see great sides playing great football. They come back to it. Also did us a favour by beating Tottenham, so it works either way. Tottenham were lacklustre at the weekend.
Yeah.
On Saturday they were lacklustre. They lacked something. Maybe it was because Harry Kane couldn't claim all the goals. I don't know, but sorry, I had to say I had to get the.
It has been a trend.
That has been a trend. He won the Grand National as well on Saturday, so that was fantastic.
Won the World Cup in July, I believe.
Oh.
And it's not even happened yet.
Amazing. But yeah, it's fantastic. City play great football all season, and obviously 3 of the big players scored at the weekend. Obviously Jesus and Sterling. And then Gundogan's played his part this season. He's one of those that's a decent player. He'll get 7, 8 out of 10, but he doesn't get the plaudits because he's not like De Bruyne, Silva, and Sterling, and obviously Aguero.
It's taken him time, hasn't it? But it's
he has been
there.
dealing with a lot of injuries.
Yeah, of
since
course.
he
Oh
arrived
no,
at
that's
City as well.
understandable. But
Yeah.
he's doing what he did at Dortmund, which was a game changer in my eyes. But yet again, this is what you could say because this was a Pep Guardiola signing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like De Bruyne, Sterling, and all that were from other managers. So if anything, he's quite a special player.
Oh, of course. He's at Dortmund. He's absolutely fantastic. As you said, he ran the midfield there. He's been a big loss. Dortmund haven't really recovered since losing him.
Surprised Klopp didn't pick him up.
Well, Klopp apparently was interested, but it was more money side of things, him interested in going to City because he's the project there. He was interested in the Liverpool project, but it was more working under Guardiola because they've already worked together, him and Klopp, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but obviously City have played fantastic football this season, as I've already said. They've deserved champions, and I was reading something this morning that I think is it 9 points off? They setting a new record for the amount of points in the season, and 3 goals away.
Yeah, and it's
setting
possible.
The goal distance record. So obviously those records are going to just tumble in the coming games because they've got 5 games left and they're playing Southampton away on the last game of the season. So that's
depending on how
goals.
Southampton needs. Well, depending on Southampton if they need to stay up.
You look at West Brom, Manchester United.
Yeah, what?
So,
No, you're right.
anything
You're
can
right.
happen, yeah.
When hunger, it's like when a man is hungry.
Yeah.
You've got to go for that crisp, even if you don't think you're going to get it before somebody else. I've no idea where I'm going with it. But Adam, are Manchester City the best team the Premier League has ever seen?
Yeah. Well, this team, I'm not sure what's going to happen next season.
No.
But at the moment, this is the best team the Premier League has ever laid its eyes on.
Does it, in a way, is this a bit of a disappointment then? Because I think I might have to agree. In terms of the Premier League, they are the best team. The dominant force of winning 18 games in a row in a league that is known to be unpredictable and the best in the world. We can all agree with that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that I feel a bit disappointed, though, because they're not going to end the season with a Champions League. They're going to end it with 2 trophies, which is more than, pretty much all their rivals. So they're going to end very successful. But obviously, Connor, in terms of build-up, it could be what we would expect next season, which is Pep to say to the team, Champions League is a must.
Yeah, I think it has to be a decent performance. We're talking semi-finals or more, really, moving forward for City in the Champions League. I think they've got the good enough quality now in the squad to progress to that kind of stage of the competition to move forward. But don't take any credit away from what they've achieved this season.
No.
The double performance is something of a rarity that we don't see that often in European football. And usually it's not in the way that City have managed to do it, where they've not only been good in the knockout tournament and in the League Cup, but then also they've managed to bring that form into the Premier League as well and go to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And what was it, 5th round in the FA Cup? So you're talking over 50 games in the season already, and that's quite a lot for a squad. And you can talk about how in-depth City is in terms of their squad and the money that they're able to spend, but it's still talking about the chemistry on the field to get that kind of working, get the clogs working, and go forward from there. Because if you don't do that and you're changing the squad so often, then the form is going to eventually drop off, and then you'll see the poor form and how it affects in the European competitions and the knockout stages and things like that. So I'm more credit for what Guardiola's done this season. He's done a fantastic job, and I think progressing forward from here, he should be able to move forward and hopefully get that European title into Manchester City.
Do you think
I'll say this now. Sorry, Fergie didn't spend any money in '99. We won the treble and we played more than 50 games. Just
Not
saying.
like he bragging,
Didn't you
though.
buy Andy Cole for like $6 million, and he was like one of the most expensive signings ever?
Oh God,
like
yeah.
2 seasons before.
But him and Dwight York together were amazing. Then you had the youth team behind you.
Solskjaer.
and Solskjaer and Sheringham.
Then we had Neville, Phil
like-
Neville, Beckham, Scholes, Giggs. Didn't pay for them
Not
at all.
like he pulling names at the house or anything like
Yeah,
that.
but-
Nicky Butt.
Look at Barca. They relied on their academy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they paid a bit of money for some of their players to complete the squad. But
I mean,
no, I'm not.
They paid a bit of money
seriously,
for
I'm
Messi,
not.
didn't they?
Eh?
They paid a bit of money for
Yeah,
Messi
but
because of the
Wow.
muscle enhancers and all that. Lot,
But in all
so,
fairness, Messi was nothing compared to
yeah.
for how
Yeah,
good he's
yeah,
become.
yeah,
Let's be honest. What were you going to say, Adam?
I was going to say that Man City's team. Do you think that they might go in the transfer window through transfers and a lot of money, or do you think that Man City won't accept the offers?
What do you mean?
So say like you've got like PSG, mega money.
So
haven't
do
they?
you mean like if someone from
Well,
like came
yeah.
in and went in
and
for
said, "Oh,
who-
we'll
which,
have
which players were you
De
thinking?
Bruyne.
In particular? De Bruyne.
yeah," and say, "Oh, yeah, we'll give you a few 100 million."
See, I don't think there are a lot of teams in Europe that would look at De Bruyne and say, "You are the answer to our problems, and we can bring you in." Because if you look at Real Madrid's squad, they've already got Kroos and Modric. They don't need really another midfielder because it's already too close.
But you got to remember, like some of the who is it? Cavani, is it for PSG? He's coming towards the end of his
See, I
career.
can't. I
So
can't.
they'll be looking for somebody to replace him.
I
and
don't-
The only way I could see anyone from City going to PSG is if PSG were paying them even more money than what they were getting at City, which I
Yeah.
think,
But
if
they're-
that's the case, would be an
That's the only-
extraordinary prospect.
Yeah.
But their
Yeah.
owner's a owner of a country, so they should be able to afford anything really.
But let's be honest. If you're De Bruyne, this is my problem with football. They're making a ridiculous wage as it is. They're making wages that we can only dream of making in a year. You know what I mean? It's little things like that where De Bruyne, in my eyes, has earned enough money for his life. Let's be honest. And let's look at the passion. He's in a promising team. Well, PSG have been doing this for years now.
Yeah.
And then the league's too easy.
I mean, they won the league yesterday with a
Exactly.
4-0 win over Monaco.
Earliest
Was more
ever.
than that. Yeah.
Earliest ever to do it as well.
And they've already got Neymar and Cavani and Mbappe next season fully.
Yeah.
Permanent deal.
That's what I
It's
mean
like
with
the
Cavani. He's
so-
going to be coming up towards the end of his career, so they want somebody to come in.
It's like the Neymar rumours won't go away. That he wants to go and leave PSG.
He'll leave PSG.
That's because his
Yeah.
dad won't shut up. So he just keeps
People
talking.
trying- some
His
Do you
dad's
think
his
Man
agent. It's the
City
worst
could
relationship
bring
ever. So
Do you think it could be a Man City jobby for Neymar?
no, I don't think
I
so.
think if he goes anyway, he'll probably go Madrid.
I think Guardiola will look at Neymar and think, you're going to ruin my team chemistry here because of your own personal goals and things like that. Whereas if you look in that City squad right now, can you really name a player that is so focused on their own personal goals that they ruin that kind of relationship at the squad?
No.
Because I don't think there is one.
No.
Kevin De Bruyne might be at the top of the list in terms of the best player at the club, but he's also the most selfish player at the club as well, really, in my opinion. And you only have to look at how he reacted in the PFA interview with Sky Sports, or was it PT, one of them, before, it was PT before the Champions League game. And he was asked who was he voting for in the PFA, and he said he voted for Salah. He could have voted for himself, but he recognises other players' qualities and strengths. And I think that's one of the reasons why Kevin De Bruyne is just such a fantastic player for City, because he'll think of the team before himself. So to say if a team come in from Europe and try and snap away Kevin De Bruyne, I think even if City said, yeah, you can take him, I think Kevin De Bruyne would probably say no, because he just enjoys himself too much at City. And I think he'll want to stay there. And
he is the show, isn't
yeah,
he?
if you want to look forward and say how City can improve, I think really the only thing that they need to work on is more or less how they close out games and how they secure games, really. Because, we've seen it a lot with Sterling and Sané over the past couple of games, that they're not consistent enough when it comes to opportunities in front of goals. And sometimes it costs them, and sometimes the defence is good enough to block it away and keep it away. Aguero's coming to that stage of the career where he's still a decent player, but
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Guardiola's not playing him as much because he knows he's winding down a little
you
bit.
think
But don't you think it's crazy? Sorry, Adam. Don't you think it's crazy that 12 months ago, Aguero was rumoured to leave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then this season, he's been another vital
Yeah.
part for the team.
I think he said that he won't want to leave City until they win the Champions League. So I think it might be
Could
a
be
case.
next year.
It might be a case of he leaves next year, and then that would be the case where they do look maybe to bringing in another world-class striker.
Do you
But they
think
don't
he
really
could
need
be-
one in Jesus because he's already a decent player.
Yeah.
Dybala? Do you think he could? Go?
That's not a bad shout.
130.
I mean,
Because
He's a-
he's tipped to be the next Aguero, isn't he?
He's another attacking midfielder kind of type guy, though. He's not really a striker in the Juventus squad because he plays behind Higuain. And, City don't really need another attacking midfielder.
But he hasn't been given a chance to be up there. I think he'd be good.
I mean, it was only last season that he had the same score and assist ratio as Mo Salah in Serie A, but I don't think that City need another midfielder right now. Maybe a defensive midfielder to take over Yaya Touré's spot because he's not playing as often anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't think City need another midfielder. I think maybe a striker for when Aguero goes. But you've got Ben Foden coming in with the ranks, so let's see how well he can do. But yeah, just a striker maybe.
I think Jesus could go.
No, he's not.
I
Can you please? No.
I know he's a good player, but I don't think he's that integral to the Man City team.
He is.
Because you've got all these other good players around. I personally.
If Guardiola's got the nerve to start Aguero, to start Jesus in front of Aguero in a lot of Premier League games, then I think Jesus has shown something in training to actually prove to himself that, yes, I want to be in the City.
Plus he took the goal against us.
I mean, in all fairness,
the goal against us last week brilliantly. 2 minutes in.
Let's not forget, though, Adam Davis is a curse all of a sudden because he said Sterling is weak, and look at how many chances he's missed since that statement. And you heard it here first on Let's Talk Sport. And, hey, maybe Jesus will not be having the God watching over him.
What do you think separates City from United then this season besides 16 points?
Not parking the bus.
Goals
Pay the rent.
Because in all fairness to Man City, when they've meant business, they really have mean the business. Because to get the goals as well, United, in my eyes, have struggled. We had it last season where we didn't finish the games off at Old Trafford. We got draws from it, many draws at Old Trafford, and it wasn't our fortress. I think it's as simple as that. At the end of the day, football is football. It's not as difficult as it looks when, in terms of, its simplicity. You've just got to score more goals than the other team. We could talk all day about this, but
because Ibrahimovic, how many goals did he get? 16, wasn't it?
28 last season.
20. It was all comps.
All comps.
Yeah. So how many did he get in the Premier League? Was it?
Oh, I mean, you might be right. It might be 16.
I don't think it was high in the 20s or anything like that.
No.
Is that what's United really lacking still then? A prolific striker.
Well, I
Lukaku could be up there at one point. But
he's only got 15 goals this season.
I think Lukaku would be good playing with Rashford if Rashford plays more games.
I will say
than he has done this season.
I will defend Lukaku in some games I've watched him in where there's just been no setup.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If Rashford comes in and gets given more game time,
you play Rashford
then
off
play
Lukaku.
Rashford off Lukaku.
I'll say this now. This is when not everyone recognised, and it's all about the management at United. If they don't think about every game that he's performed where he's had no setup, and they just think about he's only scored this amount of goals, should we really keep him? It could be him out of a club.
I don't think he's been given the foil that he can.
No, I think he needs another season, but I do think there will be times when if Lukaku is there, but let's not forget he had a great header yesterday at West Brom, and then it was just an amazing save by Foster. It's just not happened for United this season. It's as simple as that. And I think really for me, I'm one of those who I would always want two up front. I've never understood one up front, but that's how it works for some managers. That's why I'm here, and they're managing a football club like Man United. Anyway, we must move on. We're going to have our first music break, but all I can do to wrap it all up is, yes, Pep Guardiola, you're a great manager, but Manuel Pellegrini won the League Cup and the Premier League in his first season and spent 272 million less. Anyway, music break it is. And that was We Are the Champions from Queen. And Adam, who was that request?
That was from Mitch. He's asked me to take it on in case his team wins the league, which, let's be honest.
Oh, good luck.
Well, at the moment, he's barely lost a game.
Oh.
So he's drawn a few, lost one. But
better than Manchester City's form this season. Incredible. Wow, well done, Mitch. Thank you for listening to the show. And to anyone who's listening on Calon FM, remember you can send us a request on our Twitter account, which is at Calon FM, or on our Let's Talk Sport Twitter account at Let's Talk Sport 12. And we did have a Chris Brown song earlier on the show, and I do apologise, Joe. What was the request?
It was a request from my friend Steve Rigby from Liverpool.
And thank you, Mr. Rigby, for listening to the show, and same to you and your friends and family. Anyway, we must move on. to another football competition that's actually become very exciting because there's no Barca. I love it. There's no Spanish team left. Well, Madrid are still in it, but hopefully Spain aren't going to dominate all the time as I shake my hand. But Joe Stanley, last week was quite phenomenal because Liverpool had an early goal conceded. I thought Connor was going to get his prediction right where it was going to start that comeback because it was 2 minutes in. It was the perfect setup to make that comeback, but it just never happened. Nothing came afterwards. And Liverpool still won the second leg 2-1. It was quite an amazing result for Liverpool, the best result in a very long time. They're in the semis. They've got AS Roma next. It's going to be a difficult one, but Joe, you must feel very confident.
Well, obviously, last week after the start, I wasn't feeling very good. After the start, I thought I wasn't going to have any fingers left by the end
Butterflies
of
in
the
your
night.
stomach.
Butterflies in the stomach churning, and I just thought, don't do it to me, Liverpool. Don't do it to me. Then, obviously, we managed to hold on till half-time. Second half, we were a completely different side. We controlled the play, like I said, we needed to do in the midfield. Obviously, we got the break with Salah with the beautiful finish when he got the ball around Ederson and chipped it into the net. And from that moment on, I knew that Liverpool would go on to seal the tie. Obviously, Firmino's fantastic finish after the Otamendi. But Roma's not going to be an easy tie. It was the best out of the worst lot for me. Obviously, Madrid was probably going to be the hardest, and then obviously Bayern. Yeah. I would have fancied Bayern. Trip to Germany would have been nice. But obviously,
especially for Klopp.
Yeah, for Klopp to return to his homeland. Obviously, Liverpool, if they make it to the final, are going to be the designated away team in Kiev.
Yes.
So
if I was Liverpool, I would be worried with Roma because they surprised at Barcelona. So I would be very, very worried over Roma. They're a team that you can't take for granted. I think they could be one of the favourites to win the competition. And
it would be good for Italian football.
Roma have never won it.
The last team that won for Serie A was Inter Milan in 2010.
But Roma have never won the Champions League.
No.
Never won a European Cup.
No.
The last time they were in the semi-finals was 1984. And who did they play in the final?
Liverpool.
In their own ground. And it was 1-1 and Liverpool won on penalties.
Ooh.
But with the wobbly legs from Robillard. But they were saying last time there was 4 teams from different countries in the semi-finals was 2010. But last time involving an English team was 81 or 84, I can't remember which year, which involved Liverpool being the English team. There's a few omens picked out there.
You love your omens, don't you?
Yeah,
you just love them.
Actually, if you are listening in, we actually are not far, about 12 miles away from a Roman city called Chester.
I'm technically Roman because I was born in Chester.
So was I. We probably had
Romans.
We need some shields and some armour, and then get through the crowd. I don't know what crowd.
I would give a history lesson out, but I better not.
No. You can listen to the History Show on Calon FM every Thursday.
But it was it's going to be a hard tie because Roma are going to sit back. They're well organised. They're going to sit back and make it hard to break down the home leg at Anfield. So that's going to be hard. But statistically speaking, because people asked me before the draw, would I prefer to be at Anfield second or first? Normally, I prefer to be second. But I read this stat saying that teams that play the away leg in the semi-final second have a more higher success rate to get into the final. So that made me okay. But back to Roma, fantastic performance against Barcelona. No one saw it coming. They've got a solid defence. They tend to play 3 at the back, my research shows, with Manolas in the middle. So that's going to be interesting. Then their back 3 against our front 3, unless they change the system, they'll be very robust. They'll sit back in the second leg. They'll come out against us. So the second leg will be key for Liverpool. For Liverpool, it's key to try and keep our players fit in the Premier League. Top 4 is nearly secure. So another couple of wins away from that. So maybe...
No, just win the Champions League, you'll be fine.
Maybe rest a couple of players in the league. I want to see that 6th European Cup. That's the thing for Liverpool. That's what everyone's wanted. A trip to Kiev to see Liverpool get the hands on that European Cup again.
If I was
it's been
Liverpool,
too long.
I wouldn't want a trip to Kiev with all this going on.
To be honest, I wouldn't want a trip there because I don't want to go to a place full of chicken. Oh, you mean Kiev in Ukraine? Sorry.
I'd love to go there.
I love a good chicken Kiev, me.
Oh, wow. Will the Liverpool fans be eating it in Kiev on May the 26th?
Garlic butter sauce out the European Cup.
Garlic mayo for me.
It'd be a good little thing to do if you won, though. Oh, I've got for a chicken Kiev.
Yeah. Where do we go? Every store has it. But no, it's funny because Mo Salah will be playing against Roma, and Edin Dzeko has been playing phenomenal this season for Roma as well. So, in a way, Roma probably don't miss Salah as much as they thought they would.
I suppose, but we did get a steal at £36 million.
Yeah, you did.
Nice touch from Roma, though, on their
what-
Twitter page, saying it's enemies for 90 minutes, but it'd be good to see you again, friends for life.
That's quite
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That's a nice gesture. Connor, of course, I know you've got quite a thought on this game because we were talking about it on our trip to the studios, and you are expecting Roma to do it.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most dangerous team that Liverpool could be facing out of the three that
Because they're unpredictable as well.
Because they're unpredictable, and essentially it was the same situation that Liverpool were in the quarters, because no one really gave Liverpool a chance going up against City, and Liverpool had to toot their own horn really, and they did a good job of it with the Anfield pressure and the Anfield atmosphere, really hyping that up, and it lived up to the expectation in the first tie, and they managed to come away for it for 3-0. And then they got the job done at the Etihad. So, yeah, good performance by them all round. And just moving on to this one with the, I think, is it Stadio Olimpico in Rome?
Yeah.
It's something like that. It's
not
it's going to be
as a United fan.
no, it's going to be the same kind of atmosphere, though, really, at Roma, because of how they played in the Champions League this season. You know, if you go back to the group stages, they had in the same group as Chelsea and Atletico Madrid, and no one really gave them a chance coming out of that group, and they managed to finish top of that group. So they got a nicer tie entering the knockout stages, and they progressed from there to the point where they're beating Barcelona in the quarterfinals when no one's given them a chance then. So really approaching this game, because of the form of Salah and Firmino and Mane, Roma enter this game as the underdogs, really, compared to what Liverpool has to offer. So I think it's probably the most dangerous tie that Liverpool could have, because it's the unpredictable situation that they find themselves in. Of course, in the Champions League, anything can happen, but we know what we're going to get with Bayern and Real Madrid. You're even going to get a front forward attack through Lewandowski and Bayern Munich, or you're going to get a front attack through Cristiano Ronaldo. Whereas Liverpool in this game, they'll probably have most of the ball, and I think Roma would be quite comfortable with them controlling the game and progressing forward like that. So if I was a Liverpool fan, I would much prefer to see them play against either Madrid or Bayern. But they've got Roma, so now they must focus on making sure that they win that first leg comfortably against them at Anfield. And I think if they're able to keep a clean sheet and get a similar scoreline to how they did against City, where they won by like 3-0, something like that, I think they could progress through and get a result at away at Roma in the second leg the week after. But if they go 2-1 or is it 1-1 or anything like that, or any sort of situation where Roma score, I think we could have an interesting second leg where Roma potentially goes through.
I think it's one of those as well, isn't it? Because
you're talking about as well players playing against their opposition clubs. It's the same in the Bayern and the Real Madrid tie as well. James Rodriguez, former Real Madrid player.
I don't think
Bayern,
he wants to remember his Madrid days, does he?
And Toni Kroos, of course, who used to play for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's a funny one, isn't it? Because I must admit, when you talk about those fixtures, I'm really looking forward to Bayern Munich all of a sudden. That could be a really good fixture. Not Roma and Liverpool, I think, could be very surprising. I don't know which way it's going to go. But I will say this now to Liverpool and any team. If you are going to win the Champions League, it shouldn't matter who you get in the draw. Obviously, you all have a preferred choice. But you got to beat every team that's in front of you to become the kings of Europe. So
I think it'd be interesting if Liverpool got Bayern in the final. Say if Liverpool got through, hypothetically speaking, past Roma, and Bayern got past Madrid, that'd be interesting.
You just want Bayern, because last time Bayern happened, he won, didn't he?
No, we played Milan last
Did
time.
you play Milan?
Milan, yeah. Come on, Andy, you should remember that. You're in the company of Joe who talks about Liverpool all the time. You should know this.
Klopp's Dortmund side lost to Bayern in the 2013 final at Wembley, so it'd be a nice opportunity for Klopp to get revenge.
Yes, revenge.
That was my thinking behind it. And another interesting stat.
Robin robbed it.
An interesting stat, though, is that Liverpool have won all their Champions League / European Cups in red and against teams playing in white.
See, that's the problem I've got.
That's an interesting
Because
stat.
we always used to win it in blue, which was only in 68.
Yeah.
And then 99, we played it in red. And then 2008, we played it in red. And again, for 2009, they let us make us wear away colours in
And
2009. And 2011, when we were at home, it was at Wembley. UEFA. Do you know geography?
Well,
if you believe in omens, they always come true. So,
Yes, good one.
If you don't believe in omens, then they never come true. And that's
I mean,
the
I know
case
at
situation
Nomads, they're based in Connors Quay.
Yeah. I mean, Okay.
They're a bit, I mean, I don't know how mad they are. Maybe they're not mad.
But yeah, looking at Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, I think as well in that one, Bayern Munich have got a good chance to go through in that tie. I think it's same situation as with Roma. They're not really predicted to go through because of how well Real Madrid have played in the Champions League over the past 2 seasons. Going on to retain it, and with the form that they're in La Liga, there's no real focus for them in any other competition except for the Champions League. The same could be said about Bayern because they probably pretty much got the title wrapped up in Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a feisty affair, that's for certain. I'm more excited for that tie because of how Lewandowski plays, of course.
Lewandowski against Ronaldo just sounds amazing.
He's linked, isn't he, with a move from Bayern, so he could be trying to...
Do you blame him, though? Because it's been the same, hasn't it, each season? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's been better and better and better, but... in terms of trophies, it's just been the same, hasn't it?
He's been a quality player, but yeah, as you said, it's not really a lot to fight for in the Bundesliga. Pretty much Bayern have dominated most seasons, and they get the polka every now and then. And the Champions League is just the same story. They get knocked out in the semis. Besides that final appearance back in 2013 against Borussia Dortmund at Wembley. So can he progress much further with Bayern Munich? Don't think so. That's why he's looking for the move away. And Real Madrid. No reason to compete in La Liga anymore because they're pretty much out of it. And I think at the moment, the way that form's going, I think I might have to check this, but I think the only way back into the Champions League might actually be winning it. So it'll be interesting to see.
But you can't doubt them, can you?
Currently third in La Liga, I think. But I'd like to point out that although I'm quietly confident that Liverpool will get to the final, I am very wary of Roma because of the quality they have. Obviously, Zeko has a good scoring record against Liverpool from his City days.
Yeah.
So obviously, we need to keep him quiet. And obviously, they've got many other talented players as well. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be a close one to call. I think it'll be edged by 1 goal.
How many younger players? Because I seem to remember, isn't Roma quite a big experience squad more than a young
All
squad?
I can say is that Francisco Totti will wish he stayed another season.
Yeah, he's looking for a Zimmer frame, old Totti, isn't he, at the moment?
Maybe Roma were only ever going to become this team when he left. So maybe he should have left 10 years ago.
Last time Liverpool played Roma, they beat them 2-0.
Stop living in the past.
I know.
Different teams.
Heskey and Littmann, that's how long ago it was.
Exactly.
2002. Gerard Houlier's first game back after his heart up.
They must have been really bad then, Roma, to let Heskey score. Sorry, that was rude. I mean, this is the guy you're talking to. This is the guy who saw Heskey take a volley from about 30 yards out at Villa Park, and it went out for a throw-in, not even a goal kick. That was against United. But United were that good back then, you couldn't even get a shot on target.
Invisible
probably being a little bit carried away there. About
So you used to go to the odd away game, did you?
Yeah, but I was in the home crowd, so I couldn't say anything. That didn't help. Anyway, we're going to have a music break. And to any of you Laura's out there, we've got a song dedicated to you. Well, on behalf of Scissor Sisters. We'll be right back. Scissor Sisters there with Laura. I do love Scissor Sisters. Come back, please, Scissor Sisters. I'd like to see you doing a world tour something again. Anyway, enough of scissors. It's all about the cars because I am with Jack Price, who has been skiving. Sorry, bad cough. Skiving. No, he's
I'm doing your editing for you.
Yeah. He's trying to look busy out there, folks. Anyway, Jack is with us to talk about the F1 and the Chinese Grand Prix. Wow, it was just nearly as exciting as Bahrain. What did you think of that race then? Daniel Ricciardo getting a race win before Mercedes have even got one this year.
Well, nobody expected it, is all I'm going to say. I mean, starting from 6th on the grid, that was never something that we all thought would happen. I mean, Mercedes, once again, look like they're struggling, really. Like you said, Red Bull beating them to their first win of the season. And, I think it was all obviously down to help with the safety car and obviously the strategy that Red Bull went on and double stopping both drivers both times on the pit stops, which was key. Mercedes, with Hamilton not going for the pit stop under the safety car when they could have and probably missed out there. But yeah, Ricciardo, not just with the good strategy, but the fantastic overtakes. I mean, if you haven't seen him, go check him out on the highlights, I'm guessing, on YouTube. Some fantastic overtakes from the man who probably is the best at doing that on the grid right now. So yeah, fantastic for him and obviously for the team because, now they look like they're in contention somewhat.
The race burglar. I do love that. It's a great name because every time he's won a race, it's obviously been outside the top 3 at the start of the race. and he has to overtake a pack full of cars.
Well, he always says he never wins rubbish races.
Yeah.
He
Not
always
the
wins in
boring
the
one.
best ones. So, but that's true. It was a good race. Probably not as good as Bahrain. I think I was only 0.5 of a.
Depends if you're Vettel. I mean, if you're Vettel, then it's probably not as good as Bahrain. But
in terms of fans, though, I think it was just as good as Bahrain, because we were wondering whether coming to China, whether it would be the same, and whether that was just a one race wonder, as it were. But it's looking good for the season.
My real question is how tasty was it from his shoe? Was that the best shoe he had? Because he's had a few shoeys now.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering which one's the best one. Do you think that
Well, the best
tasted
one was
better?
giving it to Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, I feel like Patrick Stewart was a bit better. I think, when Arnold Schwarzenegger did one race podium, I'm gutted Ricciardo didn't win that race because he could have given it to Arnold as well. I'm sure he can drink a few champagnes
Arnold
with
will.
how big he
no,
is.
he's got to stay clean, man. He's got to
Wow.
stay clean for his diet.
Yeah, but maybe
It's
before
a shoey.
that. It's a shoey. He's
I mean,
yeah.
if what is
Actually-
Abu Dhabi doesn't do the alcohol in it.
Rose
Yeah, so
water.
he could go there. He could do the
drink-
presentation there
rose
because there's no
water.
alcohol in it. It's not going to ruin his training.
not
or
the
anything.
same.
Probably.
though, is
I think he'll turn into the Terminator if he finds out it's just rose water.
He'll be back.
He'll be. He said that on the podium. But no, it's been very exciting. We've got 18 races left. But for Hamilton, is there time to worry? Because I think his first race win wasn't until the 5th race in Spain last year. I might be wrong. Actually, no, it might have been Russia. Or no, that was Bottas. But it's still early days. But for him, he just needs to look back now and think the car just wasn't with it in China. If this carries on with the temperature of the track as well, it's going to affect them.
Yeah, he was struggling a bit. And it was a bit weird because it wasn't all down to the car, because Valtteri Bottas actually did quite well overall. He was fighting with the Ferraris throughout the race, and he tried to fight with the Red Bull of Ricciardo, but Ricciardo's overtake's just too good. So it wasn't down to the whole car as the team, because Bottas didn't do too badly, but I don't know what it was. Hamilton was struggling with the tyres, especially the rear ones. And yeah, he was just overall struggling. He said before the race weekend that everyone had to bring their A game, and really struggled personally as well for Hamilton. So, there's still loads of races and he's still got time. I think he's glad that obviously Vettel finished behind him in the end, and that's obviously helpful. And actually to Vettel as well, it's glad that Hamilton didn't win the race, because finishing in 8th for Sebastian, the points would have been terrible if Lewis had went on to win the race. So actually quite good race in terms of points for both, because they didn't lose many.
Red Bull are probably just like McDonald's or any big company that don't treat their employees very well, because they just don't know how to respect their driver. Daniel Kvyat went after 10 races or something like that, and then here came Max Verstappen. They're calling for his head again on Twitter. Max Verstappen's head, the Red Bull fans. But in my eyes, Jack, they're not really Red Bull fans if that's what they want, because Max Verstappen's still one of the best drivers I've seen in a while.
No, they're probably just
because of this one mistake.
Depends if you're doing bumper cars. I mean, if he's a bumper cars, then he's the greatest driver ever. But Formula One's a bit of a different story.
It's
a bit more
expensive as
costly.
well.
Yeah,
It's a bit more costly in Formula One, but yeah,
I was going to say, how much is a bumper car compared to an F1 car?
probably like
$1 million more?
yeah,
No, probably more than that.
Probably more than
a
that.
lot more.
But
A Formula E car's only 20 quid.
yeah, it just runs out, doesn't it?
Just
It's like a
runs
Duracell
out,
battery.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think the people that are calling for his head aren't actually race fans. They've just come on Twitter so they don't even know who he is. They've just said, "Oh, but we don't like him." But the Red Bull fans, you got to keep him. He's the best driver. He's one of the best drivers on the grid. That he's a future world champion, as we've already discussed. He has a bit of a problem with overtaking sometimes. He's a bit aggressive, maybe, shall we say?
But we love
you
that.
need that,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's boring, because they just stay behind each other. And we've already discussed this, but if a Formula One driver or any racing driver sees a gap but doesn't go for it, they might as well not be in the car to start with. So
We already had a comparison on Twitter of Marc Marquez of the Repsol Honda rider for MotoGP. Of course, he's a world champion. I think he's won 3 world championships, and this guy's like 24. He could be the next Valentino Rossi, for all we know. He's still got 6 more to win, but
I think as well with Verstappen, I think Vettel said to one of the papers over in China that immediately after the race he did come over and apologise for the incident. So, it's good to see that the guy has some sort of class, and he's not an arrogant,
Well, at his
young
age, he's very
20s guy.
responsible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He knows what he did wrong, and hopefully with knowing that he knew that he did wrong, he can improve on it quicker than, say, someone coming in and saying, you're not doing that right, and being arrogant to it situation. So hopefully he sees some improvement from him by the end of the year. And
in all fairness to Vettel, he said that they had a chat and they've moved on from it straight away. So it's good to see. But what I was mentioning is that Marc Marquez and Verstappen have been compared. But all I can say is, to those people who compare him to that rider is a very successful rider. Yes, Rossi doesn't like his races being ruined, but yet again, Rossi ruined races for, Nicky Hayden, who sadly is not with us anymore. Of course, he passed away last year. But, of course, Rossi is a legend as well. So, all these drivers and riders getting criticised for ruining races, it's just an accident at the end of the day. It wasn't meant unless you're Pastor Maldonado. We're going to have a music break. But thank you for that, Jack. Go and do your editing. You've done great work.
That's it now, is it? Oh,
that's it. You're gone.
Sayonara.
Sayonara. Yeah, sayonara. But, of course, a Japanese Grand Prix is until late this year. So what are you saying?
What's the next one then?
Azerbaijan.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Try.
I'd imagine it's just goodbye. I don't know their language. But anyway, we will, of course, have our Twitter reaction video from the Grand Prix on our YouTube channel. And, of course, our pole position podcast reviewing the race. Anyway, we will be right back after Stereophonics here on Calon 105 FM. So, Stereophonics with Dakota there. And, of course, let's not forget, down the road from Calon is the racecourse ground, and that will be the host of Stereophonics in June or July. I should know that. But anyway, hopefully, if you all go and enjoy it when the summer comes, because we have been missing the summer. It just feels like winter again here in North Wales today. Before we go, yesterday was the Commonwealth Games closing ceremony, and it's crazy. The event was a week and a half. And in that length, it just feels like a lot longer because there's so many sports that get played throughout this length, and it just feels like it's been going on for months and months. We have a big time difference here in the UK compared to Australia, and when we wake up, it's nighttime there where we watch the athletics, the netball, even crown green balls, which is actually a sport in Commonwealth Games I never thought we'd see. But yeah, it's been quite an interesting one. And Australia, the hosts, where it took place in Gold Coast, wow, they just loved every minute of it, didn't they? They won 80 gold medals. 80 gold medals in the total of 198 medals with 59 silvers and 59 bronze medals. I love it how there's exactly 59 for silver and bronze. But England, okay, we didn't go top. We were top 4 years ago when it took place in Glasgow. But, I mean, there's been this criticism over the last 12 hours or so that the England team have not been performing whatsoever in terms of the aims that they were after from this Commonwealth Games. But can I just say, Australia didn't perform that well in 2014. They didn't finish top. They didn't get all the medals that they were after that they thought they would win. But, I think we've done very well for ourselves. Yet again, 136 medals were won for Team England. We're a very small nation, and at the end of the day, the Commonwealth Games is a strange one because, it's not the whole world. It's certain countries, and Australia and England are the biggest out the lot. Canada finished fourth, India with third as well. New Zealand did very well in the hockey, in the women's hockey anyway. Sadly, our women's team didn't make it to the final, but they did win bronze against India. And a shout out to Wales finishing 7th, Scotland finishing 8th, and Northern Ireland finishing in 20th. I mean, the team that finished last with only one, well, it's joint. It's Cook Islands, Ghana, Norfolk Island, Seychelles, that's how you pronounce it. What a flag, by the way. It's a great flag. And Solomon Islands finishing with just the one medal. But anyway, it's been a great Commonwealth Games. Have you folks been watching it at all?
I saw the marathon where he fell over.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
I saw the highlights of that and wasn't too happy about the medical team not bringing in attention.
I was going to say, there was people taking photos.
I know, it's ridiculous.
And it's just like, go and help the guy.
I mean, there's the standard where you're not supposed to help the person up because they have to make it themselves and do the race themselves. So I'm glad that no one outside, like the public, interfered. But at the same time, I'm quite annoyed that there wasn't a medical team there following him because he'd already fallen over once.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So,
medical team should have been following after that. Yeah.
But it's been a good one. Australia yet again hosting a great big major event, and it goes down as the likes of Sydney 2000 and Melbourne 2006 when they last hosted the Commonwealth Games. But in 4 years' time, Birmingham will be hosting
Oh,
the
what a
Commonwealth
contrast. Gold Coast to Birmingham.
to clouds.
Get ready,
just
people.
say-
Get ready.
To
Can I
clouds
just
in the
say-
Mithers. I'm afraid, Adam, we've run out of
I was
time.
going to say about netball. Someone from
Netball.
Chester
Yeah,
plays for 'em.
it was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We won the netball. England beating Australia.
I know, and New
big
Zealand.
win.
We never beat New Zealand.
No, we
usually.
haven't. But anyway, that is all we've come to. I'm afraid, folks.
Now the
We'll be
end
back
is
next
near.
Monday. You can go and see Connor's open mic session on Thursday night.
Because I do things my way.
Anyway, thanks to Connor, Joe, and Adam as always.
Cheers,
Of
Jay.
course, remember to subscribe to Let's Talk Sport on YouTube for the whole show. And of course, watch our previews for the upcoming games and our F1 stuff as well. Anyway, same place, same time next week. So long.
Calon FM on 105 FM, uniting our community.